Hey guys, this is the lesson for Friday, February the 12th. Today is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. To get ready for today's lesson, I want you to open up your novel, Blood on the River. I want you to open up handout 3A and quiz 4, 5, and 6. You do not have to open because we're going to do handout 3A instead of doing the quizzes. So it's the last call for quiz 4, so make sure that you have turned in your quiz 4. All right, so here's our questions for this lesson. The first one is our essential question. How did the social and environmental factors in the unknown world of Jamestown shape its development or decline? Our focusing question, which was for the last lesson and for the next few lessons, is how do the settlers respond to the challenges of their journey to the unknown? The content framing question is what's happening in chapters 4 through 6 of Blood on the River. So here's some vocabulary words you may see. We will see today, and I want to make sure that you know what those are so you can recognize them when you hear them. You can pause the video and add any of these to your Notice and Wonder chart. Do not forget, you're supposed to have Friday's row filled up by the end of class today. Once you have Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays all filled up, that you will go ahead and submit that at the end of this lesson. But here are our words. Ignorant means not aware or informed. Gullible means you're easily convinced into believing anything. Fuming, displaying frustration or anger. And savages is a noun that describes people who are uncivilized or wild. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at handout 13A. So go ahead, or 3A. Go ahead and pull that up. I want to explain to you how to do it. And you will, instead of doing a quiz, you will be answering about plot development and character development for each chapter after we read each chapter. So you're going to complete the table below. Chapter 1's been completed for you as a model. So you'll see that it's highlighted in that blue color. You'll write about the other chapters, 4, 5, and 6. Make sure you use complete sentences, just like the example gives you, with a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence, correct punctuation. So you're going to look at plot development and character development. Plot development, that's when you choose a main idea or a main event from the chapter that contributes to the storyline. You're going to briefly summarize that event in the story, explain how it helps move the plot forward. So you're going to pick a main event from the chapter, explain and summarize what happened, and how does that move the story forward. And then for character development, in that box, you're going to explain how a character responds or changes because of his involvement in that main event. And tell me why this character development is important or significant. So here's an example for chapter 1. If you remember when we read the plot development, Samuel gets caught by the pawn shop the following morning after stealing his mother's locket. So conflict is created when Samuel gets caught and fights with the pawn shop owner and his son. The reader doesn't know what's going to happen to Samuel now. Will he go to jail? Will his head be stuck on a pole at London Bridge? We don't know. So that moves that plot along because it leaves us wondering what's going to happen next. Now for character development, this is when you tell me how the character changes or responds because of that event and why it matters. So although Samuel unsuccessfully fights against the pawn shop owner and his son, he does not stop trying to fight for what is right in his mind. When the son grabs onto him, he, quote, throws his head back hard to try to get away. And that's on page 5. He shows how determined and brave he is by retaking his mother's locket no matter the cost, which is a blow to his head and possibly a trip to the gallows. Now, to answer why that's important, Samuel shows the reader he's a fighter by nature. He fights against unfairness and what is corrupt. The reader can tell there's more fight left in him, and we wonder what he will fight against next. So that is how you're going to fill these out for chapters 4, 5, and 6. So I'll be reading to you a chapter, and then you're going to fill in, you're going to pause the video, go ahead and fill out your plot development and character development for chapter 4. Then I'll read chapter 5. You'll fill it out, and then I'll read chapter 6. You'll fill it out, and then you'll turn that in by the end of class. And you'll also want to make sure you turn in your Notice and Wonder chart. All right, so have 13A pulled up, and I will read to you chapter 4. Chapter 4 begins on page 19. The epigraph says, travel south until your butter melts, then turn right. That's an old British mariners axiom, how to get to the New World. February 1607. My soul nearly left my body last night. I felt it, slippery and shimmery inside the shell of my body, trying to slide out through the top of my head. But Reverend Hunt came and laid his hands on my brow to keep my soul from leaving, and prayed for me to recover. And so today my fever is broken, and I'm still in my body, still aboard the Susan Constant, bound for the New World. We are finally sailing. I feel the speed of the ship under me. We've left England's waters, and we're heading south toward the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa. Captain Newport says our route will be like a big circle following the winds and currents. We'll sail south to the Canaries, then west to the West Indies, and then north to Virginia. To go back to England, if I ever do, we will sail still farther north and then east to England to finish the circle. Captain Newport says the fever's gripped us because we stayed so long in the fog and cold of England's winter. Now it's warmer every day. If my soul had gone out of my body, I'd have left the rolling of the ship, the stench in the closed-up 'tween deck, the rats that sometimes scuttle over my face in the night. I'd have left this living shoulder to shoulder with a crowd of gentlemen, each of them thinking he's better than the rest, and all of them thinking they're much better than I. But I'd also have left the chance to see the islands, and beyond them Virginia. I'd have left my chance to dig for gold. So if it hadn't been for Reverend Hunt and his big, meaty, soul-blocking hands last night, I would have joined my mother in heaven or my father and missed the whole exciting adventure of it. I pull on my slops and tie them at my knees and at my waist. I'm so skinny now they nearly fall off of me. How long was I ill? 10 days? 2 weeks? I wobble on unsteady legs. Air. That's what I need. Fresh air. Someone throws open the hatch. This is my chance. I pick up a slop bucket, my ticket, on the ship's deck. I start up the ladder carrying the slop bucket carefully. I glance down into it. Human waste and vomit sloshing together. Bad idea. I feel woozy, almost lose my balance. Look up, I tell myself, and I do. And in a moment my head is out of the hatch opening, and I'm looking at a violet blue sky with wispy pink clouds. Sunrise at sea. Look at what the cat dragged in, a sailor calls. He's pulling on a thick line and looking down at me from the foredeck. Haven't seen this one in weeks. Thought maybe he'd died. Stinks bad enough down there, says another sailor. Could be a few dead ones lying behind the ale barrels and no one would even know. The sailors laugh, but I don't care. I stand breathing in the clear, fresh air. I go to the railing, throw the contents of the bucket overboard, and then stop in utter astonishment. I stare, unbelieving. The ocean, which just a few weeks ago in England was its usual black-green, has completely changed. I'm looking at an ocean so clear and so blue that when a long silverfish comes to inspect what I've just tossed in, I can see the yellow stripes on his back. I linger, feeling the wind on my face. The sails are bellied out orange gold in the early morning sunlight. I feel very glad that I didn't leave this adventure last night. Below with you now, a sailor yells to me. You'll be getting underfoot up here. I want to tell him I'm waiting for the mess pot for the servants, the one that James and Richard and I share with the 2 men who serve Master Wingfield. But I'm not sure I can make it down the ladder with the heavy pot of oatmeal. I'll wait until I'm stronger before I do that chore. Captain Newport comes strutting toward me. He has a scowl on his face, and I'm afraid he's about to whip me for loitering on deck. I scramble down the ladder, bucket in hand. Captain Newport follows me. He swings down the ladder easily, even with only one arm. I head to a dark corner of the 'tween deck, hoping he won't see me. But it's not me he's after. Smith! Captain Newport's baritone voice fills the 'tween deck. 2 burly sailors come down the ladder and stand on either side of him. Sir, Captain Smith responds and stands straight and strong. Captain Newport looks angry, though I'm not sure it's Captain Smith he's angry with. By my authority as captain of this fleet, I hereby place you under arrest. Captain Smith frowns. On what charges? He demands. He stares right at Master Wingfield as he says it, so I suspect he knows who's accused him of a crime. Captain Newport glances at Master Wingfield with a look of disgust. I will present the charges, says Master Wingfield. Somehow, despite the fact that we've been at sea for nearly 2 months, his silk doublet and velvet breeches still look relatively fresh. You're under arrest for intent to overthrow the government of this mission, murder the council members, and make yourself ruler. My mouth drops open. Wingfield, you're a liar, Captain Smith growls. And you, sir, will be hanged when we reach the West Indies, Master Wingfield says coldly. Captain Smith sputters, but no words come to him. His face and neck are red as fire. He reels back. I see his fist ball up. He's about to throw a punch. Yes, I want to shout. Smash his face in. This will be even better than watching boys or drunken sailors slug it out. I want to see blood spurt out of Master Wingfield's high-ranking nose. But in the split second before Captain Smith lets loose with his fist, it's as if something reins him in. He hunches his shoulders, opens and closes his hands, takes a deep breath. Then he turns to Captain Newport and speaks almost calmly. Captain, do you believe these charges which have been brought against me? He asked. Captain Newport looked startled, as if he didn't expect this question. I can't leave a suspected traitor unshackled, he says. And what if I accuse Master Wingfield of being a traitor? Captain Smith asked. After all, it was he who wanted to turn back when we were stranded all those weeks at the Downs. It is he and his gentlemen friends who want to go back to England, to their comforts, every time there's a storm. He says the word gentleman as if it's a pile of sheep dung in the kitchen. This makes me smile. This is how they treat their signed 7-year contracts with the Virginia Company. You have no right to accuse me, Master Wingfield shouts. You're a commoner. You can't level charges against your betters. My betters? Captain Smith raises an eyebrow. A pig has more royal blood than you do. The sound Master Wingfield makes next is a cross between a growl and a shout. Insulting his bloodline is like throwing lye in his face. He draws his dagger and comes at Captain Smith. For a moment, all confusion. Reverend Hunt catches Master Wingfield's arm. The two sailors step between the angry men, and Captain Newport's voice booms out, Release your weapon, let the law handle this. Then he orders the sailors, Nelson, pull, put Smith in irons. The two sailors hustle Captain Smith over to the chain bolts that stand ready, fastened to the wall of the 'tween deck, waiting to restrain a prisoner or any drunken sailor who has started a fist fight. They clamp Captain Smith's ankles and wrists into the chains. I can't believe Captain Newport's doing this. Now Master Wingfield will simply walk over and slit his throat. But when I look back at Master Wingfield, I see he's pale and shaken. He's dropped his dagger and is wiping his face with his handkerchief. Reverend Hunt had his hand on his shoulder and is talking to him quietly. Master Wingfield might be a liar, but he's no murderer. Still, I've heard the gentlemen whispering. In the close quarters of the 'tween deck, it's hard to miss much. They say Captain Smith is only an ignorant commoner, and yet he wants the power of a noble. They say he'll try to take over the whole mission if he's not disposed of. They say if it were not for Captain Smith insisting that they stay the course, they would be back in their comfortable homes in England by now. And I wonder how long it'll be before someone else, someone who does have the heart of a murderer, slits Captain Smith's throat while he sleeps. So I want you to go back to 13A, or 3A, I keep calling it 13A, to 3A, and I want you to tell me what, here in this box, what do you think was the main event that happened in this chapter? And how did that event move the plot along? And explain what happened in that event. Then I want you to come over here and pick one of the characters in our book. It could be Captain Smith. It could be Samuel. It could be Reverend Hunt. Pick a character and tell me how that character responds or changed to being involved in that event. And why does it matter how they responded? So I'm going to post on Google Classroom chapters 5 and chapter 6 read to you on YouTube. If you can either read them yourself and fill out the box for chapters 5 and chapter 6, or you can listen to it being read to you with the links underneath classwork. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to Miss Maddox or to myself, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Don't forget to turn in your Notice and Wonder chart.